The Irish government and the NGOs of Ireland are once again collaborating to shut down any sort of free speech in this country. Okay, we have a breaking news story here from Paul, okay, Peter Paul Guy on X, okay, previously known as Twitter. If you guys don't know, go check out X. I keep meaning to shout him out. He's a good guy. He always has these breaking news stories every single day. He's a proud Irishman, okay, and he is declaring this, guys, another expose, alright? So it says here in an email, NGO involved in drafting hate speech legislation designed to control the speech of Irish citizens with the Irish government has set up a conference in Dublin with anti-terrorism experts, whatever that means, and on Garda Síochána, the police of Ireland, okay, with the intent of policing the far right, okay? So this has literally gone too far, okay? So we've had a bunch of people, influencers recently trying to shut down free speech, and you could see them all in the comments of that guy, Protein Board, his, sort of comment section, everyone agreeing, oh yeah, we need to shut down free speech, shut down hate speech, and they're basically using these influencers under the guise, okay, to push the narrative. But now that didn't work, because influencing is the biggest industry in this country, okay, a lot of people know, most people get their information from influencers, but because that didn't work, because people like me and other Irish, patriots basically called them out and exposed all of them for the bullshit artists that they are, what ended up happening is the basically left wing, the communists, the Marxists, the DEI, woke, people have just lost the plot completely. So literally the NGOs have lost a bunch of funding. Now they're resorting to getting the guards to help them with a far right issue, and there's no far right in Ireland, guys. A conservative man that doesn't want immigration, that doesn't want all these woke policies, DEI, that doesn't want communism, that isn't far right, guys. Far right would be something like Hitler or some shit like that in my own brain, and that doesn't exist in Ireland. Being a conservative person is fine. Donald Trump would be more conservative, let's just say. Having a right-leaning perspective in the country is perfectly fine. Don't ever feel like you're something on the far right or you're something different than any of these blue-haired weird liberals. Don't think that you're anything less than these people because they call you certain names. Okay, that's not how it is. So yeah, like I said, the NGOs are coming together with the Irish government and the Gardaí and a load of other people, and they're having a they're having a collab, a conference, guys, okay, a collaboration. And here we have, this is from the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, okay, like how insane. So it says on the 15th of April 2025, ICCL in partnership with the Committee Administration of Justice will host the second annual policing conference, Policing of the Far Right Intimidation in the Republic of Ireland. I don't understand, guys. On Monday, 19th of May in the Richmond Event Centre. I would love for someone, that is more conservative in Ireland to go to this if you're in Dublin and, see what this is all about. Maybe just record a bit of it, because it's all behind closed doors. A lot of this stuff should be exposed on the news and to see what they're actually talking about. Because, if we don't know what they're talking about, then we can't address it properly. So, as the impact of the far-right protests on the island of Ireland continues to increase in both number and intensity, urgent questions arise regarding how incidents of far-right intimidation should be policed in accordance with human rights principles, while also safeguarding the rights of the affected communities. Now, this is just unfair, guys. To call someone a conspiracy theorist or far right or something just because they have an alternative opinion than you is just very unfair, in my opinion. It's just very unfair. It's not fair to the democratic system that we have in Ireland. Like, we're allowed to sway left to right in this country, just as America does. They had Bush, then they had, of course, they had Obama, then they had Trump, then they had a liberal again, okay, with Biden, and now we have Trump again. It's good to kind of go back and forth between the two. But here in Ireland, we've just had the same woke liberal government for the last 100 years. And in my personal opinion, they have destroyed the country, with Leo Varadkar being the worst person ever to run the country of all time. He is the devil, in my personal opinion, Leo Varadkar. So the speakers here, okay, the speakers that are included in this are Finola Ní Elan, okay, former special rapporteur on counterterrorism and human rights in law, basically. University of Minnesota, okay? And Minnesota actually is it's a pretty right state, okay? It's a pretty conservative state as well. So She's obviously 1 in a million. Andrea Petto, okay, again, not Irish. So Finola Ní Elan, okay, she doesn't, I mean, just because her name isn't Irish doesn't actually mean she's Irish, lads, just saying as well. So University of Minnesota, okay, professor and fellow of the Central University Democracy Institute, Andrea Petto, so not Irish, so both of them aren't Irish, okay. Andy George, National Black Police Association, that's kind of a bit strange, okay, so again, not Irish. Desi Donnelly, Rappel Cooperative, like these are all like NGO funded like people. These are all just completely, nothing to do with Ireland. This is like foreign interference with Irish politics, in my personal opinion. The conference will discuss and reflect on the Gardaí response to the far-right intimidation in the Republic of Ireland since 2020, including operational policing considerations. Now, here's the thing, guys. I find it very unfair that they're saying that there's this sort of intimidation, far-right intimidation. What does that mean, guys? What does that mean exactly? Because, if you're not allowed to have a difference of opinion in Ireland, then you really don't live in a free society. I'd rather have some guy, taking the piss out of me that's on the left or making fun of me, whatever, what have you, than lose an ounce of freedom, guys. Because the freedoms that we have are hard fought, guys. They're extremely hard fought, and we need to keep them. And okay, talking about intimidation, let's talk about intimidation, guys. They want to say that people on the right are violent. A study came out from Interpol, which is basically the FBI, okay, of Europe, okay? It's like the federal, European agency that monitors terrorist attacks and stuff. They said, this is a Gript article, 90% of all terrorist attacks were from far left extremists. So, this is what we're dealing with, guys. It said 1% of terrorist attacks in the world are only from far right people. Okay, this is statistical facts, guys. Okay, I'm not making this up. You can go just Google it, all right? Now, let's talk about the far left intimidation, because I've never seen one even instance of far right intimidation in Ireland especially. I mean, I just don't know what they're talking about there. Do they mean verbally on the internet? Because it kind of goes each way. The left and right do that, okay? But one thing the right doesn't do, okay, is this, guys, all right? It says here, Palestine action thugs have moved on from spray painting airports to ramming a van through a perimeter fence at Shannon Airport, okay? Trying to breach airport security, yet still not prescribed anywhere. We are governed by cowards. So, yeah, I don't exactly know what happened. They ran through the fence here. The guy's wearing the whole, face mask with the turban, okay, was what I would call it. And it presumably seems that nobody got arrested. Nobody has gotten arrested for this, guys. So I don't exactly know what that's about, but let's actually watch this video.
Try and make a run for the plane, lads. Sorry? Try and make a run for the plane.
I think we should.
Let's go.
I think we're not going to do much.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to be sacrificial, lad. You take this, I'm going to run. Okay, run.
Okay.
Bruh, she better have trained her cardio, because she's going to be out of breath in about 30 seconds, bro. Yeah, so that seems pretty intimidating. Ramming a fence through a national barrier and then literally storming the flipping Shannon Airport to spray paint the planes. Now, of course, guys, like I said before, I don't agree with flipping bombing kids as certain countries in the Middle East are doing. Absolutely. But at the same time, guys, to have people spray painting planes here, I mean, what does that do, guys? That does absolutely nothing. They hate the U.S. Army, but the thing about the U.S. Army, guys, and all the military and shit, like, we kind of need that to protect us from ISIS. ISIS are not a, friend of any religion. They hate the Muslims, they hate the flipping Christians, they hate the flipping Jewish people. ISIS and these terrorist groups hate everybody, okay? And they just want to see the collapse of the Western society. So it is good that we have the U.S. military to kind of defend us. Like, in a way, of course, it's not perfect. It definitely isn't perfect, okay? But if we didn't have the military, guys, we'd be absolutely screwed. So them spray painting spray painting these flipping planes just seems seems asinine. It just seems stupid, guys. I don't understand why they would even do that. It means nothing. They're just going to get themselves arrested. But like I said, I haven't seen anyone get arrested for this yet. So there is your far left intimidation. Okay, that is pretty intimidating. Guys all wrapped in red. They looked like ISIS, with the headscarf and the thing. They looked like, like ISIS. They look like terrorists, in my personal opinion, guys. So yeah, no, I've never seen one instance of far right intimidation in this country. If you guys know any, if you're on the left, let me know down below, guys. I just haven't seen it, guys. I don't even know if that's even a thing. Normally, people on the right are pretty relaxed, pretty masculine. They don't do extreme things, in my personal opinion. But yeah, the one last thing I wanted to talk about is I got a comment. She said, "Can you talk about people having more kids in this country?" And I was like, that's a bit strange. She said, "You should talk about how Irish women should have more kids." Now, not that Irish women should listen to me, okay? But I absolutely agree with that. So she said, her name is Ange, okay? She said, "Chris, you need to do a video to tell young people to start having a lot of babies. We need to repopulate this country." They don't understand how important this is. 2 generations in Ireland will be gone. The Irish people will be gone. Shout out to Ange, okay? And yeah, I mean, I do agree with that, guys. Like, a lot of people understand that, when different countries come here, they have multiple kids, okay? 5, 6, 7 kids, Indians and, African and whatever, guys. A whole bunch of different countries that like having many kids. That's why their populations are so massive. China, India, Africa, these countries have massive populations, right? And, when you think about it, guys, Ireland, we only have 4 million people. So really, we should be having the most kids. We should be having 10 kids per family. And before everybody says, "Chris, well, we can't do it without a lot of money," here's the thing, guys. Money is an excuse, man. How do you think that they had 10 kids back in the 60s? The average woman in 1847, I believe, or I think it was 1920, around the turn of the century in Ireland, okay? Literally, the average woman would have 5 kids. That was the average, which is far beyond any other country in the world. And Ireland was a poor country back in the day. So how the hell did they do it? You understand, guys? So it's a bit of a cop-out. So here's me to tell all the Irish women. Be less stingy with it, okay? I'm gonna get cancelled for this one. Be less stingy with it. Have more kids with people, all right? Like, all the women that I was ever with, guys, they were all like from Brazil, like they were all like different, like not Italian, all my girlfriends and shit from Germany, like they would just, get with me regularly. Whereas I feel like Irish women, guys, yeah, they just don't, they're very prudish a lot of the time. So you need to have more kids, okay, young people. And also to all the men as well, here's another thing, guys. Start to earn more money so you can take care of these little rugrats running around, okay? And also, a lot of Irish men like to say like, "Oh, she has loads of kids," or "she sleeps around" and stuff. Well, she's trying to find a partner that, will have kids with her, basically. And that's not a bad thing, guys. My personal opinion. To have many kids is great, especially like Irish families, because when I see an Irish woman and she has 5+ kids, I'm like, I'm fired up. I'm like, that's amazing, it's amazing. Whereas now in 2025, you're almost like shunned upon. You're almost like made fun of. "Oh, you had more than 3 kids. Like that's just disrespectful. That's disgusting." That's how what men say. Men are stupid in this country. They say, "Oh, I can't believe she had like 4 or 5 kids." Guys, you should be having as many kids as possible. All the Irish women out there, okay? Have as many kids as possible with as many people as possible, okay? And yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. I think I got my point across there pretty well. Don't cancel me. Don't shoot the messenger. An Irish lady told me to say that, have loads of kids. I mean, my opinion and me telling people to have loads of kids isn't going to change anything. But if it was up to me, I'd be the same as Elon Musk. I'd have like 10 kids. You know what I mean? But that being said, you'd have to be like with what, like 4 different women or something to have 10 kids, or 5 different women. I mean, if each woman is having 2 kids, I mean, you have to be a bit of a playboy. So I don't know, can that really work out in the real world? But yeah, man, we should start having way more people to kind of populate the Ireland with the Irish people, and Irish culture kind of brings it together, guys, so we can compete with these other countries. Okay, I love you guys all. I'm half comatose. I'm hyped up on Panadol, so I'm barely awake. But let me know your thoughts. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.